Hey, Wendy, are you there? Wendy, did we lose you? Well, everybody, welcome to Take a Breath. It looks like Wendy's taking a breath right at the moment. And it looks like we may have lost her and connectivity. But we want to welcome you to our podcast today.
Sorry about that.
I know, it looked like you were taking a nap. Your
Well,
eyes were
it froze up.
closed.
It was just spinning. I'm like, I don't even know what to say. This tells you all just too much. I'm telling you right now, it is all too much. Ladies, this is time to take a breath. It is that time on Thursday. And I'm going to tell you, we're going to talk about it's all just too much today.
It is all too much. And Wendy, I was saying, and just before we came on, I'm so grateful for this broadcast or podcast, because we would just be driving it forward. We would not have stopped. We wouldn't have taken a breath. We wouldn't have just said, okay, quit spinning. Quit spinning around in circles. Yeah, that little thing going on. And so I'm just really grateful to be here today. I hope everybody's going to stop a moment and take a breath with us.
Ladies, let me just tell you, it has been a week. It's been a month, actually. Our international conference, is in 2 weeks. It's going to start happening, and I don't know about you, Debra, but I am like, it's just all too much. I don't even know my to-do list. I can't even carry it with me. It's so much.
I can't even keep track of my to-do list. It's on all kinds of notes and papers and lists. It is too much because, for me, I'm working on the International Business Plan competition. And so I'm trying to get people from all over the world kind of together on one page and making sure that we have all the prep meetings done and everybody lined up and ready to go. And on top of that, I'm planning a trip to Mexico next week with Patrice. What was I thinking? Why did I think this was a good idea? And I'm going to be doing. I have a couple of presentations to give. Are they done yet? Oh no. So it is just all too much. And I'm so glad we're going to talk about this, because it really is about real life. It is about what we get ourselves into. And so I'm glad we're gonna broach this topic today.
I've been a couple of my coaching clients, their kids are home for the summer. So here they are, they're entrepreneurs. They've got all of that to do. Some of them are, they're taking classes and we're working on their business plan, and their kids are home, and everybody wants to take vacation and their kids are home.
The dog is barking and
Yep, the dog is barking in the background. But really today, ladies, Debra and I, we've got a format. Those of you who've been joining us, we've been talking about the Proverbs 31 woman and her characteristics and how amazing she is and how everything she does for the glory of God. And we have been so busy to prepare for today. And so we had to stop. So ladies, stop. And we had to take a breath, and we had to look at what was God wanting us to complete today. Now, I could have spent the time to get our podcast prepared and our run of show and our scripts and everything. Debra could have worked on hers, and we could have been prepared. But what we did is we stopped and we listened to what God wanted us to talk about today. And it wasn't our little fabulous run of show and talking on that. And we had to pause and look at what did God want us to really talk about today. And ladies, here's what he told us. It's all too much. It gets all too much. And we have to figure out how to stay in alignment. I I'm getting ready to go to Orlando for 2 weeks. My goddaughter is getting ready to have her baby, and I'm going to go and spend time with her, and I'm gonna, have all this stuff that's going on. But what we had to do is just stop and say it's all too much, and really what's most important today. And what's most important is just to be with God.
Exactly right. Well, Wendy, I took a moment and was looking up some scripture. And okay, does this sound like us? Psalms 127:2. It is in vain that you rise up early and go late to rest, eating the bread of anxious toil, for he gives to his beloved sleep. And many times I know that you and I are talking about our schedules. I'm up at early, 5 a.m. so I can get started because I'm on an international clock. You are working late in the evening. That's your timeline. Later in the evening, I can't even open up my eyeballs and think about what's going on late in the evening after 6 o'clock. But we do talk about our schedule a lot, and for vain. And sometimes I feel that way. It is vain to get up. How much am I getting accomplished? How much am I, all these meetings, what am I getting done? I don't know. I don't see an output for that, or a result, right, that I can put my finger on. And yet it is just stopping for a moment and saying, okay, Lord, this is your list. These are your things to do. What is it I need to accomplish? What is it that promotes your purposes and your plan, and not what's on my list?
Well, Debra, we mentioned Nehemiah Week is coming up starting on August 15th, and we're talking about operational excellence, right?
Are you operating in excellence? I'm not.
Not having our script prepared a week in advance like we usually do, not excellence. Yeah. But I think that we all, as entrepreneurs, we all find ourselves in this place. I think, we just we come to these places where it's just all too much. It's just chaos. But we cannot veer from operational excellence. Remember, and this is what I love. It does not say to be perfect. Okay? We are not saying it is perfect. We're talking about doing it in excellence, which means we give it everything that we have, right? We use best practices that we talk about every week, right? The best practices. We use the biblical principles that God has given us so that we can deliver in excellence. Sometimes we forget, and we're so busy just getting it done that we have to stop. And remember, we have to deliver in excellence. People are watching us because we have stood up and said, I represent God. This is God's business.
And part of that is really about. Sorry. I'm sorry, no, Wendy, there was a pause there. I was thinking, sometimes those things are about making difficult choices. Do I have to be at every meeting that I'm scheduled for? Today I had to replace one meeting with another. I couldn't be at and do all. And making those choices allows me to make the better choice in order to get a better result at the end. I'm not anxious. I'm not worried about something that isn't done, but taking care of what needs to be done. And I think prioritizing what our not only our meetings, but our activities and our choices is all the difference in the world. Makes us feel like we're a little bit more in control of what's happening in the midst of that chaos.
That's so true. But we also have to remember that, just because we can doesn't mean we should.
That's exactly right.
And so how do we, as an entrepreneur, how do we maximize our effort? How do we use our resources wisely? I've been working on putting policies in place for us and working on our SOPs and diving into that. And one of the things that I discovered the other day is because a policy was not in place for something, right? We did not have a standard for that. What I realized is I was spending an hour and a half doing something that I should not have to do. And that is literally 3 hours of wasted money. An hour and a half to do that, and I lost an hour and a half to do something else that should have been done. So that comes down to 3 hours. When you look at our bottom line, that is 3 hours of payroll that was wasted. And so sometimes just because we can and we've got this to-do list, we have to really step back and look at, Debra, you could have just scheduled that other meeting to later in the day and worked a 14-hour day instead of a 10-hour day. But would it really have allowed you to maximize and deliver an excellence? Right?
Well, yeah, certainly not. And, I think that we also have to recognize, Wendie, that we need those opportunities like you discovered in order to realize that there is a gap that needs to be filled, that it isn't necessarily all wasted time because it recognized an area that needed to be fixed or something that needed to be adjusted. And so it does have value. It's not like it's valueless, but it does allow for us to recognize when those things are. And it is important to be doing those work that we call in the business or in the business rather than on it, because we have to ensure that we have processes and systems that are working appropriately. And so I think sometimes it's about our viewpoint as well. What is our vision? What are we seeing, and how are we looking at it? So that we have not being discouraged or frustrated by it, but recognizing that it's an opportunity.
Yeah. Things, and you're right. It was not in the whole grand scheme of things, it was not wasted. But that repeating it over and over becomes the waste, right?
Sure. No, I understand. Yeah.
But how do we as entrepreneurs recognize those things when it happens too? That's the other part, right? Because if you have more to do than you have hours, I think the question needs to come back to how do we examine what we have and be efficient and effective? Because sometimes, now I don't know about you, Debra, maybe none of us have ever felt this way, but sometimes I realize that I'm doing stuff that I really didn't need to be doing.
Oh, yeah.
Organizing my daytime one more.
Well, okay, I rely a lot on my schedule because it keeps me in a line, and it helps me to see, where I, how many hours I'm spending on tasks rather than on important things or in meetings, and who else can I utilize? What are my resources that I can use that can be spread out to make me more effective overall? Who on my team can attend and provide back information? Do I really need to be here to hear it all and do it all? And so, sometimes that's a bit of a control thing, right? If I don't do it, who else will? Well, guess what? There's a number of really skilled people that can do this as well. Who else can I raise up to develop their skills and leadership abilities? A number of people that can do that for me as well. And so it really is that assessment. Do I really need to sit at my desk and eat my lunch and try to put crumbs all over the work surface that now I've got to clean up afterwards? Is that really a healthy way, rather than taking 15 or 20 minutes to sit down and breathe in, breathe out? Breathing out is good. Breathing in, breathing out, and just settling my mind, because those rest times are so critical to reset. It's not just resting, it's resetting and being able to be effective following that. So I think there's a number of things that I get caught up into the whirlwind and I forget.
So we've been talking about it's just too much. It's all too much. And so, but you know what, Debra, this isn't a whining podcast.
No, not at all.
This is a podcast of solutions. So we just recognize that it's all too much. It's all too much. It's so now, how do we help those ladies who've joined us? What are some things that we have done that helps when it's all just too much? We navigate through that so we continue to deliver in excellence, meet our goals, and do what God's called us to do. So I'm going to start. I'm going to share something that I have done that I have found has been helpful. And that is have an accountability partner. Have that person that I can go to when it is too much, that we can, okay, it's just too much. So what I'm racing all around, that person can help me stop and say, okay, really reevaluate. Having that accountability person has been the biggest advantage that I have had in being able to deliver in excellence.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for me, Wendie, I think it is great. We need to have accountability partners in our, not only for the fact to help me reset, but also just to hear me get it out, right? I got to just be able to release some of it from time to time. But I also use my calendar a lot for that. As I said earlier, helps me to look at what my priorities are, what is ahead, how do I need to schedule, what do I need to be focused on. So earlier this week, I said to the team, you can ask me to do all kinds of projects, but right now my focus from now until after Nehemiah week is all on Nehemiah week. And that helps me to set myself and say, here's the priority, what I need to get done. And everything else that can wait needs to be pushed back behind that. So priorities, looking at my calendar and ensuring that I've got some white space in there somewhere where I can reset.
Oh, that is excellent, Debra. And so one thing, and so another thing that I have found that has been very effective when I am getting to that place where it's all too much. How do I continue to deliver in excellence? I do pause. And when I pause, I start asking questions. If this doesn't get done, is this going to affect my goals? I'm asking the question. So ladies, I want you to ask the question, how important is this? And what's the worst thing that's going to happen if I don't do this today? Because sometimes we give something, a task or a process, such importance, but at the end of the day, it's only importance that we've given it. It is not going to affect things as the bottom line, if you will. Things like that.
Kind of on the same line of that, Wendie, is the question about what must happen today to reach my goal of. What is the one or two or even three things that must happen today in order to reach that goal? And recognizing what those are, whether it's making phone calls, whether it is meeting up with someone, whether it is getting a report done. What is it that needs to be done to meet my goal today? And when we're clear about what those are, it helps us to make those decisions much more easily about where we want to spend our time. One other area that I think we sometimes get caught up into is around the amount of time that we need to spend in a meeting. We don't have to schedule 1 hour for every meeting, because that only means you have 8 things you can do in a day, or 9, depending. So I'm working diligently at, can I take an hour meeting into 30 minutes, or can we just get this done in 15? So that we can make decisions quickly, we can move through it and be more efficient with our time and how we use it.
That is really so true, because we've been working using a new meeting format. and we've used it 2 weeks in a row now at one of our meetings. And each meeting we have ended up with 15 minutes at the end that we were able to leave early. That's just learning the new format. And I'm thinking, okay, we might be able to get this meeting from an hour and a half to an hour. And what a blessing that will be. Mm-hmm. So I think that's really important, because you should never go into a meeting without an agenda. You should never go into a meeting without understanding the outcome that you want to have. You know, in the Benham brothers, in their EO Mastery, they talk about this, you know, the importance of meetings. And it's a great, those of you who have that class and had an opportunity to do that, is really powerful. But talking about, you've got to know the outcome that you want from that meeting before you go. If not, it's just an hour to sit around, chat with people for an hour, because you really can get off topic and, you know, and nothing gets solved. So we get to do this again and solve anything. Right. And I think that that's important. So one thing you can always do is to make your meeting time effective, have an agenda, and know the outcome. And you know, the other thing, Debra, okay, I'm going to quote a very wise lady here. Ladies, are you listening? A very wise woman. Who else needs to know this? That means you need to have all the players at the table in order for that to be an effective meeting. So really looking at your time and being wise with that. So to have an effective meeting, you want to have an agenda, know what outcome you're reaching, and have all the right players at the table. Because if one person is missing, then you got to repeat everything.
That's really true, Wendie. And if I can add to your list as well, I start off with, I have 30 minutes for this meeting. And so I want to set it up front what the expectation is. It helps those who are laggards, who don't come on time. Okay, I can only speak to the top of the hour or the bottom of the hour, whatever it may be. And just reminding about what we want to get accomplished today. Because you're right, we can spend, you know, part of that time, a good chunk of that time. How are you? How are things going? How's your family? Those things are good, but we really want to make sure that we're staying on topic. And when we have a short amount of time to get things done, we're more apt to be focused. And that is something that's so important. Your agenda and having the right people there, all that information, that helps us as well. So it's a good reminder for me when I say, you know what, I got something going at the top of the hour.
Oh, absolutely. You know, and so I'm excited, Debra. I think, you know, ladies, I hope that this has helped a little bit, right? When it's just all too much, to give you a couple of tips of some things that you can maybe do in the midst of all the chaos. But, you know, Debra, we've got our Nehemiah week up. Now, it's a virtual conference. Ladies, we hope you can join us. If you've not already registered, they've put the information on the scroll bar here. But, you know, Debra, we've got some pretty amazing people coming on August 15th to start talking and sharing some very valuable ways that we can deliver in operational excellences.
We sure do, Wendie. Number of great people, starting with Ann Byler. Of course, the Benham brothers are with us, and others as well. Every day is filled with some great people that can lead us through those topics. We have breakout groups. Those of you who wonder about your ability to get capital to either grow or expand, you're looking for investors or equity partners, we have our investors forum. We're going to have a couple of people who will be pitching to investors. Of course, we've got our Nehemiah International Business Plan Competition. Okay, my favorite. And then
it's the highlight of the week.
I know, I can't help it. I'm just sort of, pious like that. And then we also have our State of the Ministry that's on Saturday, kind of a wrap up. And really this idea of coming together as biblical entrepreneurs, meeting up with people from around the globe who have a common desire to build businesses that glorify God, that we can get to know, maybe get to do business with, that we can share our experiences and our insight. This is a great way to be a part of this kind of kingdom movement that our desire, our vision is to transform the marketplace for the kingdom of Jesus Christ, one entrepreneur at a time. And you can be a part of that.
Oh, absolutely. We've got some amazing speakers this year, Debra. David Benham from the Benham Brothers is going to be there speaking as well. We've got Soren Backer. Ladies, if you've not seen her speak, she is going to be amazing. But Debra, as an entrepreneur, the idea of committing a week to a virtual conference every day, right, with my schedule.
I know.
That's a lot. That is a lot. How can these ladies do that?
Well,
and still work?
Register for the conference, because your registration will give you a link and access to the recording. Not only so you can go back at your own leisure, maybe you're driving down the road on a long road trip or something, business meetings, you can catch it, but it also gives you an opportunity to go back and hear those nuggets of truth over and over again. So taking a look at the schedule and saying, this is something I really want to know about. This is something I want to participate in. And you can schedule that, but just get registered so you can capture all of it and you can be a part of the week. And we know it would be real hard to put aside, several hours for a week in a row. But, Wendy, I think of this as being education. It is building my business acumen. It is not just something, a feel good. It is something that helps me to improve my business, improve the way I treat my employees or my vendors, my customers. It gives me insights into what's happening from a global perspective. I'm encouraged and uplifted. Things aren't as quite as bleak as it might look on the news today. How are other Christians viewing today's events? So there are so many really intangible ways of being that this is an investment into yourself and into your business.
That is so true, Debra, and it is an investment. You get out what you put into things, right? So going and learning and then implementing the things that you're taught at this conference. We've got breakout sessions. We have my favorite, every morning. So you can join us on Facebook. Every morning we do our praise and worship online. And so we have an opportunity. You guys are going to have an opportunity to join us for our praise and worship, which is amazing every day. And so I love that. It gets my day started. So I hope that you can join us. We are almost out of time, Debra, but I just feel better. I don't know about you ladies, but just taking this time to acknowledge really what's going on and say, you know what, it's okay.
Well, Wendy, I'd also like just to invite ladies. I'm going to, while I'm in Mexico on August 5th, I'm going to be doing a Women in Business conference there and speaking about some of the topics we're talking today, about the Proverbs 31 woman, how she is strong in her faith, how she has business acumen, she knows her identity, and then how she serves with love. And so you can check out on our Facebook page, and you can see some of the times. Hopefully you can join in and be a part of it. I can't wait to share it with you as well. I know while I'm in Mexico next week, Wendy, I hope that we can take a breath from there and be able to share. I can share some of the things that I've learned while we've been on site as well. And just one other thing, I see that that Pastor Charlie is with us from Sierra Leone. It's been a long time since that I've seen him and talked with him. I want to welcome him to the podcast. I'm so glad that you are here and that you are listening in. I can't wait to reconnect with you again as well. Wendy, we've got the best audience in the world.
We do. We do. So, ladies and gentlemen, I hope that you have found some nuggets today in our podcast. Debra and I thought, well, we're just going to be real today with the ladies and let everybody know we don't always got it all together sometimes. But you know what? God uses everything for his glory. And so being able to be authentic to you and share with you, I hope you can join us at Nehemiah Week, August 15th through the 20th. We're going to talk about adapting for impact in an uncertain world. So if you would like to, you can come for a day or for the entire week. We hope to see you there. But if not, we're going to see you next week from Mexico. I love that.
Won't that be fun?
It will be fun. So thank you, ladies, for joining us today. But Debra, we have to leave them with some scripture here.
We do. We do. And, we always go from First Chronicles 16. Look to the Lord and his strength. Seek his face always. Thank you, ladies, for joining us. Thank you, Pastor Charlie. We'll see you all soon.
Bye-bye.